Hey everybody, how you doing? I've got a little bit of a different video here today. I'm working on completing my Solstice of Heroes Armor Triumph Masterwork set for my Hunter here, which has become basically my main character over the course of year two. And I wanted to talk about how Destiny 2 is going into the direction of a MMO. More of an MMO feel, more MMO-esque RPG elements. There's going to be more diversified builds. There's going to be more involved quest steps. And PvP itself is getting changed in one way or another. So there's going to be a lot of sweeping changes that are coming to that. But that gives me the chance to talk about the Solstice of Heroes event and the bar that's been set for the grind requisite to obtain the Masterwork gear and to obtain the Legendary gear set for each class. I personally think that the gear set is obtainable. Even from a casual player, I think the Solstice of Heroes armor set is meant to be a symbol, right? It's, you pick your main character, you pick the armor set that you like the most or whatever, if you're an involved player. Say, hey, I really want to go get that, and then you allocate the amount of time that's required to go and get that armor piece. It should be like a special set of armor to say, hey, this is my main character, this is, how much I play the game. I'm dedicated to looking this way. I'm dedicated to participating in the game, and if you only have time to complete one armor set, then you have enough time to complete at least the armor set on your main character, all the way up through the Masterwork. I think the Masterwork presets requirements for this are fairly manageable to get, fairly straightforward. I think pretty much anybody can get to them. They don't have an outrageous attachment of glory requisite or crucible standing or anything like that. You can just go in with a fire team for the most part and just get this stuff done. So I think for the most part, the normal grind, the Masterwork section is pretty straightforward and fairly easy to do. If you're a hardcore player, I think that the grind is pretty substantial. And by hardcore, I mean you're the type of player that spends a lot of time playing the game, upwards of 20 hours a week. I think 20 hours plus is requisite for hardcore player because of jobs and all that kind of stuff. But if you're playing 20 hours a week, you've got 3 characters, all of them are max light. You enter into all the different various activities, raids, strikes, Gambit Prime, and Crucible, whether it be competitive or not, on all your characters. And I think if you're a hardcore player and you're doing the armor set for all 3 characters, you have time to do that. The most hardcore players in the game, the top 1%, the people like Modern Tryhard and Glad and like Chevy and a lot of the top tier people that are playing the most hardcore versions of PvE and PvP content. Most of the guys that I mentioned are PvE studs, but they're very good in other aspects as well. But the point is that if you're doing the grind like they are, then you're going to knock this out of the park really quick. It's not for lack of the grind not existing, it's just those are very good, efficient players. And if you're comparing yourself to the best players in the game that are also on fire teams with other best players in the game, like Sweatcicle and Slayer Age and Dado and all that kind of stuff, if you guys are all in the same crew, you're going to run through this preset of challenges, because that's just the way that this preset of challenges for unlocking the armor is built on. But as a solo player and a hardcore player as well, I can tell you that I've gotten through 2 armor sets already, and I'm pretty much almost done with the blue set on my Titan, which means that I'm almost done with all 3 armor sets. And I'm taking the time to just chill and do my own version of the grind. Unlock the Masterwork set on my Hunter, because that's what matters to me the most currently, is to unlock that Masterwork set on my Hunter, because I think it's the best looking set. And then, play the game a little bit more paced out. But for the initial rush and the initial challenge of getting the armor set quickly for your main character, yeah, I think the grind is pretty substantial. I think it's a fairly reasonable investment I think that the parameters that have been set out for what you have to accomplish to reach the legendary set is pretty involved. It takes you into some activities that maybe you don't like, maybe you do like. But the point is that if you're getting this armor done, it's a recognition of all the things that we've come to incorporate into our Destiny schedule over the last year. Now, I know that some people don't necessarily like Gambit. As a solo player, I can tell you that playing solo Gambit is an exercise in patience a lot of the time if you have the intention to win. But whenever I see Gambit come up as a challenge on a like an armor set or something like that, I just immediately dismiss the notion of winning the game. And that makes my time in Gambit a lot easier. So if you ever have a problem struggling with Gambit as a concept on an armor grind, believe me, the tilt is always there if you do struggle with the Gambit thing. But as a solo player, I go in there and I just don't care. Like, I'll focus down on other aspects of things that I can focus in on. Like for my hunter set, I just put on Hammerhead and did all that stuff. I was one of those guys, but I did it on day one, so I was the precursor to the tide of hammerheads in Gambit. But yeah, you know, you find something that you can work on, and then you focus on that instead of the actual match. You know, that kind of stuff. Anyways, I'm getting a little distracted here. The main point of this is to talk about just how I feel in general about this main... the way that we're going about earning our armor, because there's a new activity that we have to focus on, which is the EAZ, which I actually thoroughly enjoy. I really like the EAZ, and if you're not counting the bosses that you have to kill or the treasure chests that you have to finish, it's actually a fun activity. You know, like if you're not going into it like, how many more do I have to do? 13 more. Okay, 13 more. I gotta run through here. If you just kind of do it, it happens passively, and you don't really have to stress it. I've found, and I actually really enjoy the EAZ just in general. I think it's got good boss mechanics. It's a pretty quick activity, and even if you're not after chests or anything like that, you can still get a reward for staying in there, which is the boxes. And that means that you have access to getting more materials and armor and all that kind of stuff later on. That's the incentive to stay in there. I've heard a lot of people have been leaving matchmaking or leaving the event once they've got all their boss kills, which to me is a waste of their time because they're losing out on the treasure, which is the Solstice packages, which gives you the opportunity to re-roll your armor set afterwards. So that doesn't make much sense to me. But if you're going to look at the overall grind of the Solstice of Heroes, the overall event, the overall... you know, all the stuff that came with it, all the stuff in Eververse, the new cosmetic items that you can go and purchase, new armor set that you can chase after, the ability to re-roll that armor set, the fact that this armor set, once you've obtained it, is going to be the next 2.0 armor set, and then being able to carry that into year 3, Destiny 2 with you, that's really cool. That's my incentive for doing the 3 characters, right? So as a hardcore player, it's nice for me to waltz right on into year 3 with a badass looking armor set that's already ready to go and configured for Armor 2.0. Like, that's nice. That's why I'm doing it. It's an ease of use, nice notion towards the future that I can just grind away a couple of weeks. The delay has made it a lot easier for me to just go like, alright, well, I'm just going to get this armor, going to chill, probably have that all figured out and set up when I'm all done, and then nothing to worry about in the future. But for a casual player, I think it's still the kind of same thing. You've got 3 weeks to work on this set, that if you want to continue playing, and if you want to leg up on the content in the future, and if you want to have something that you can look back on and be like, yeah, I was there, that was cool. This is a perfect opportunity for you to do that. And I don't think that the grind itself is overbearing for one character. I think if you're a casual player and you don't have the time available to you to dedicate, you know, to getting 3 armor sets on 3 characters, then don't do it. 3 weeks is plenty of time to set aside and do your main character. And I think that that's really what this armor set is all about. I think the hardcore players, yeah, the people that are dedicating, 1,500 hours a year or more into this game, those are the people that are going to get all 3 armor sets anyways, like it or not, because those are hardcore players. That's what they're focused on doing. Casual players, dude, if you just play this game to have fun, it's a really cool armor set. It gives you a leg up, and it's a manageable grind. Yeah, you have to grind it out a little bit, but that's the direction that we're going with Destiny and the Destiny content. And I think for the majority of players, that kind of grind MMO feel, that RPG feel, is something that most players, even in the casual aspect, are really accustomed to. Because those long-term checkbox lists, they make a lot of sense to a lot of different type of players. Like, if you have a thing that you can accomplish, you can look at it, and you can see the number increase. When you see the number increase and you work towards your goals, that kind of stuff makes sense to all gamers of all credos. And I think that the Solstice of Heroes event, yeah, it's very grindy to do all 3, but I think it has this really nice balance for the casual player and for the meaning behind getting an armor set that really fits your main character really well. Like, they did a really good job on the design. They made it look... I missed that shot. I was so mad. They did a really good job on the design of the glows. They did a good job on the design of the armor itself. They put a lot of time and effort into how it looks, and it's an armor set that you can be proud of. Even if you can only get one of them, you can still get one of them and masterwork it and be like, yeah, that's my main, and that's, my armor set that I'm proud of. So, recapping just kind of in general, I really like the direction that they're going with the Solstice Grind. I think everything that they've put out is really nice, and I'm looking forward to Shadowkeep. So I'll see you in the next one.